Hey, it's Rebecca Smith from the KBIA newsroom in Columbia, and it's time for Missouri Health Talks, a project where we listen in on Missourians' conversations about access to health care. This week we hear from Steve Hollis and Darren Morton. Hollis is the Human Services Manager of Columbia Boone County Public Health and Human Services, and Morton is the Director of Turning Point, an organization that supports people experiencing homelessness. They spoke about breaking stigmas surrounding homeless communities and how many Americans are closer to being unhoused than they might think. Here's Steve Hollis.
We have the national data to show that folks that have experienced homelessness that we put in housing, they don't fail at housing at any higher rate than the general population. That is a really important thing to know, that lots and lots of people get evicted from housing for all kinds of reasons. So one of the things we try to do is fight stigmas. Another big stigma is that homeless folks don't work. I think one of the neatest things about programs that use volunteers, like the soup kitchen at Loaves and Fishes, which is also generously housed by Wilkes Boulevard United Methodist Church, and also Room at the Inn, which is a faith-based effort amongst the faith community. When volunteers go there every year, I always hear from the volunteers that they're amazed at how many of the folks that stay at Room at the Inn have to get up and go to work. I think there's a lot of stigma that folks don't work. And so one of the things we do as a homeless service provider community is try to fight some of that stigma. An unstated part of all this is the services that Turning Point provides gives people dignity, gives them a place they can go each day where they'll be welcomed and warm and have an address. I always tell people it's easy to be kind of indifferent and essentially blame people for their homelessness. I think people will be shocked to hear the life stories of some of these folks and what they've been through. And I always say, imagine yourself with no money, with pretty significant mental illness, no health insurance, no job, no transportation. How would you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? I'll also say so many of us are really, really on the edge of losing our housing. So many Americans live paycheck to paycheck now, are deeply in debt, especially after the pandemic. So we really try to convey that this could happen to any of us.
Circumstances truly plays a big part. And I think people just don't realize that part of it behind, like, what's really happening behind this person that's flying this sign. I think so many people want to just look, judge, and think that they just know. They just got it figured out that this person's flying this sign for this reason or for that reason, or they're just trying to get a quick buck to go do this, that, or whatever. But there's so much talent. There's so much talent and just such people behind these signs. And we just don't know. People don't take time to truly see what's behind the sign or what's within the person. So like, I think of like the circumstance and just how it takes getting to know this community. It takes getting to see this community. That's one thing, seeing them, seeing that they are just humans just like we are.
That was Steve Hollis and Darren Morton speaking about how important it is to understand the struggles our community's unhoused populations face and just how difficult it can be to, quote, pull yourself up when there are no more bootstraps. That's it for this week's Missouri Health Talks, which was reported and produced by Becca Newton. Tune in next week for more conversations from throughout the state about health and access. I'm Rebecca Smith. Thanks for listening.